Now on CoastTV News.
Milton locals divided over short-term rentals as the town considers new zoning rules.
Ocean City update, what the town has to say after a scary moment over the holiday weekend.
Slow-moving showers will be our Achilles heel all week long, so flooding concerns are at the forefront of the forecast for this entire week.
This is CoastTV News at 5.
Here's a live look at some flooded roads in Sussex County. Good evening. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Madeline Overturf has the night off.
And I'm Charlie Sakaitis. We begin tonight with stormy weather on the coast. Today's heavy rainfall was due to the leftover remnants of tropical cyclone Chantal that continues to prompt concern, flooding across the East Coast. Coast TV News reporter Emma Aiken is live in the First Alert weather Jeep driving throughout Sussex County. Emma, we have some isolated pockets of street flooding.
Charlie, we're driving down Pilottown Road in Lewis, and take a look outside here. You can see some flooding on the roads, and these heavy storms we just saw are from part of that post-tropical cyclone Chantal that was south of us. The big concern is isolated scattered flash flooding, meaning driving could be tricky, particularly in poorly lit areas. And something important to know, I was just talking with Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams before this, and flooding is the =1 cause of death in terms of severe weather events. We just saw that in Texas with the massive flooding there, killing around 80-90 people so far. And later this week, we actually have a piece of that storm headed in our direction. And the biggest thing to remember here, if you see some puddling on the road, simply turn around and don't drown. For now, I'm Emma Aiken from our First Alert Weather Jeep.
And that is always good advice as we take a live look into the Dover area, gray there as well. And we check in now with First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams to find out about our weather for the day.
And see, the thing that's very tricky about flooding and why it's such a deadly phenomenon as it pertains to severe weather is because, kind of like right now, it looks like there's a lull in the rain, but flooding is something that happens very subtly and it quickly will rush upon you without you realizing it's there. Now, if we take a look at the scattered showers right now, they are winding up to an end. This is the leftover remnants of Chantal that continue to move on towards the Atlantic City area, and it's pushing out of the way. In its wake, we still have some light scattered showers puddling along Highway 9 as well as 113 closer towards the Milford area. We still have an active flood watch in effect for all of Sussex. That's until 10 o'clock for this evening. And this is just the first wave of the introduction of the rain we expect. Then we have flood watch that was in effect for Quantico and Deep Branch area. That's been allowed to expire, but it's been replaced by concerns for heat advisories. And we have small craft advisories that are in effect with gusty winds along the coast as the system is still plowing its way towards the east. And we see that counterclockwise circulation associated with the remnants of this system. I did mention the heat. Tomorrow's going to be a concern for heat advisories. We're going to clock 105 heat index tomorrow. So rain today, heat index for problems for tomorrow, and then rain for the rest of the week with the possibility of flooding. So far for the rainfall, I mean, we've had plenty of rainfall that's pushed throughout areas in Ellendale, nearly 1 3/4 of an inch. We had over 2 inches in Cambridge officially. So that tells you how isolated these pockets are. So we see some flooding that's happening over in Cambridge right now, not so much in Ocean City for this moment. Another area where we had some rainfall in a very short period of time, over at ½ inch, Horace and Harbison, Slaughter Beach, same situation. We had just shy of over a quarter, between a quarter and ½ inch of rain in some other isolated areas. And so our big concern would be, what happens when we start seeing active rain? Well, this will be a concern we'll have down the road. We'll talk more about that later this week, but we're going to be concerned about hydroplaning for this entire week. And we'll be talking about this with our online coursework that we have on CoastTV.com, but also that chance of rain still sticking around for an extended period of time. Christina?
Thank you, Paul. Well, short-term rentals like Airbnbs and VRBOs have become a hot topic in a lot of coastal communities. And as Coast TV News reporter Emma Aiken shows us, that debate now heating up in Milton.
This is Dean Abbott. He lives in downtown Milton.
Having the ability to know your neighbors is invaluable, just invaluable. There's no way around it. And it makes for a stronger, better neighborhood.
Abbott says that sense of community is the reason he's pushing back against short-term rentals in neighborhoods like his. Last month, the town put stricter regulations on short-term rentals. That's anything rented for 30 days or less. The town also added licensing restrictions and occupancy limitations. Now, town council wants the Planning and Zoning Commission to get involved to see if any additional regulations need to be added. That's what Abbott wants, a separation of where short-term rentals can and cannot go.
I don't think they should be allowed there. But there's lots of other places that they can go in Milton without being doing damage to residential neighborhoods where you're not going to know your neighbors.
Jamie Berry disagrees.
I think you need them.
She feels like short-term rentals are important for the economy, though she is fine with regulations.
The rules have to be in place, and that's what keeps the town charming. That's what keeps the infrastructure keeping up with what's going on with tourism and also the neighborhoods that are coming along.
The Milton Town Council will meet at 6:30 and could vote on an issue that some say is damaging and detrimental, while others say offers booming benefits. In Milton, Emma Aiken, Coast TV News.
Now, some of the requirements that were approved at the June 2nd Milton Town Council meeting include property owners being required to obtain an annual rental license, also limiting overnight occupancy to 2 adults per bedroom, and ensuring the presence of functioning smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, and fire extinguishers.
The Ocean City Council released a statement today after fireworks were launched into a crowd over the weekend, causing panic. Look at the video here. People running in fear on the boardwalk. This phone actually ended up on the ground as people were running over it. Some had mistakenly thought gunshots had been fired. Police say that wasn't what happened. It was in fact fireworks. Multiple arrests have been made, and today the Ocean City Council said, quote, social media drew large crowds of teenagers, some juveniles who appeared to come with the sole intent of causing disruption and chaos.
I saw it was a bunch of people running, so I just turned back and went back inside. So I had to start the worst. I was kind of scared a little.
In a separate incident in Bethany Beach, somebody was shooting fireworks at people near the boardwalk as they walked by. No arrest has been made at this time. Fireworks weren't the only crime in Ocean City this weekend. Just before 1 a.m. on July 5th, there was a shooting at the intersection of 28th Street and Philadelphia Avenue. Police say they found an 18-year-old man with a gunshot wound to his arm. He was taken to the hospital, and they say he is expected to recover, but he has been uncooperative with ongoing investigations. This brings us to our Coast TV poll. We want to know what concerns you most about recent boardwalk incidents.
Let's take a look at the results now. Take a look at your screen. You can see 8% say fireworks misuse, 17% say lack of security, 71% the most popular answer, rowdy crowds, 4% nothing much.
And if you haven't voted yet, or if you want to leave a comment, you can do that at coasttv.com or use the mobile app.
The Millville Volunteer Fire Company has made changes to its policies and offered new training. This comes after police say 2 former volunteer firefighters, Jay Droney and Jordan Hastings, chased a paid employee with a rope tied into a noose. Gary Conitis with the Millville Volunteer Fire Company says the swift changes were made in hopes of avoiding a similar situation from happening in the future. According to Conitis, allegations came to light on April 9th. After an investigation, by June 1st, 100% of the career staff and 2/3 of the volunteer members completed training. He says 2 changes are key to handling these issues swiftly.
One is giving the board the latitude to work a little bit faster for particularly egregious incidents, and then 2, giving people more avenues and mechanisms to report when they see any sort of discriminatory or harassing behavior.
And Conitis says the fire company will push forward after some reputation damage by remaining. They have always been public servants. Well, it's going to be another busy week for President Trump with a key tariff deadline looming and a major meeting later with Israel's prime minister. As NBC's Garrett Hake reports, we're also seeing more fallout from the president's so-called Big Beautiful Bill.
Fresh off his major legislative victory, President Trump now turning his attention to thorny tariff negotiations ahead of a 90-day deadline Wednesday for countries to strike a new trade deal with the U.S. or see tariffs spike.
The tariffs are going to be the tariffs. I think we'll have most countries done by July 9th.
The White House first setting a goal of 90 deals in 90 days after the president paused his so-called reciprocal tariffs in early April. But with talks stalling and just 3 framework agreements announced, the administration is now planning to set some countries' rates by letter and urging larger trading partners to finalize deals by August.
President Trump's going to be sending letters to some of our trading partners saying that if you don't move things along, then on August 1st, you will boomerang back to your April 2nd tariff level.
And while Republicans continue to celebrate the passage of the president's massive tax and border bill, the legislation's $3.3 trillion price tag appears to have once again severed the president's on-again, off-again alliance with the world's richest man, Elon Musk. Musk announcing he's forming a new political party, the America Party, writing on X, "Backing a candidate for president is not out of the question, but the focus for the next 12 months is on the House and Senate." Trump blasting Musk on social media as having gone, quote, off the rails and calling him a train wreck.
I think it's ridiculous to start a third party. Third parties have never worked, so he can have fun with it, but I think it's ridiculous.
Coming up, city workers still on strike in Philly. What's holding up a deal as services suffer?
We have a bit of a rainy week ahead, so flooding will be at the forecast. Will be a main forecast feature for us.
But first, the death toll is rising in Texas. How Coast Guard crews are helping in flood recovery. That's up next.
This is Coast TV News at 5.
Members of the United States Coast Guard based out of Florida have been deployed to Kerr County, Texas to help with rescue efforts.
Sunday afternoon, they flew over the area around the Guadalupe River. Before their flight, Lieutenant Hobson of the U.S. Coast Guard spoke with reporters about those recovery efforts.
He says rescue is still the #1 priority at this point.
So obviously, we're going to do our best to try to rescue anybody that's still out there and needing a rescue, and then obviously there's obviously recovery efforts going on as well. But definitely, the hopes are there's still rescue efforts going on, and then that's what we're going to be out there to do.
At least 90 people have been found dead across 6 counties in Texas, and dozens are still reported missing.
Take a look at our Bay forecast. We are expecting for it to continue to stay on the muggy side for Tuesday and Wednesday, but look at these thunderstorms firing for Thursday. That's a hint as to what is indeed on the way. Your full forecast in a moment. We're getting rid of the remnants of Chantal, but we have more in the way of rain and several waves still on the way from the central part of the country, which is actually the same storm that's been causing a great deal of misery for the folks in Texas. But first of all, here's where we stand right now in Lewis, courtesy of our Irish Eyes camera. Overcast conditions, a bit of drizzle, a little bit of leftover remnants of the rain. Now, we actually warmed to 89 degrees for the high today in Georgetown, 83 for the high in Ocean City. Here's where the rain and the precipitation stand right now. Most of it is out of the way. We have a small amount to the north of Seaford, but also towards, Milford, and then over towards Seaford. What we have still some isolated showers that's creating at least some steady downpours. And because it's such an isolated situation, we have to watch out for the flood watch. It's in effect. Now, a flood watch means that we have the potential for flooding to occur. Doesn't mean that flooding is widespread, but we have that potential. And we have just some scattered showers right along Highway 13 right now. And we still have some embedded cells that can bring about some heavy downpours. And these are very slow moving scattered showers. So you have to be mindful of that. Flood watch also in effect for portions of Somerset and those areas. And then we have concerns for a heat advisory as well. So after we deal with the rain today and it hits the ground, then we have the evaporation that occurs for the night and going into tomorrow morning. Then we become extremely muggy, watching out for oppressive humidity as a result of that. Now, in addition to that, we have concerns for some gusty winds. We have an active small craft advisory right off the coast for us, staying in effect until 1 o'clock in the morning for Ocean City, as well as really over right off of the coast for us in Sussex as well. So this is what we're basically bracing for, about 25-mile-per-hour winds. So it's a combination of things that happens when you have, a post-tropical system that's beginning to make its way through our neck of the woods. Fortunately, it wasn't strong enough to cause more of a problem, but we do see that counterclockwise circulation as it's beginning to meander its way right across the Delmarva Peninsula, leaving in its wake on the backside of it this isolated cell that's causing some heavy downpours near the Seaford area. A little wider view showing us that we have a bit of a crinkle that's happening within this trough here, but this is all circulating around the low pressure system that's really guiding this as a steering wheel and pushing this right offshore. And I don't foresee that particular set of showers becoming more of a problem. But in its wake, it's left over 1.5 inches of rainforest in Ellendale, over 1 inch for us in Georgetown, close to 1 inch for us in places like Stokely as well as Seaford. We've had over 1/2 inch for rainforest in Prime Hook as well as Greenwood. Now, just so you'll understand how isolated this is, we had less than 1/10 of an inch of rain, for example, in Ocean City, over 1 inch in Georgetown, but look at this, a whopping 2, trying to approach 2 1/4 actually, for us in Cambridge. So once again, very isolated areas. And we have some other numbers that we've tabulated for you. Just over 1/2 inch in Harbison and Slaughter Beach, and just shy of 1/2 inch for us in Laurel, 1/3 inch for us in Lewis, over 1/4 inch in Milford and Del Mar, and just shy of 1/4 inch officially in Dagsboro. So where does that leave our numbers? I mean, for numbers wise, we're about 7/100ths of an inch beyond our normal amount for the month. But as far as the year is concerned, we're still about 1.5 inches ahead of the pace for our rainfall. Temperatures right now, 77 in Lewis, Milton, Long Neck, Redden, as well as Georgetown. And our expectation for tomorrow, the mugginess makes a big comeback. 94, for example, in Georgetown. 92, for example, in Cambridge. And we're looking for a high of 93 in Berlin, Snow Hill, and 92 in Pocomoke City. The air quality is going to be a concern. We're at a moderate level to good for right now, but we've had it nosedive before when we get really muggy. You see, Tuesday starts off near 80, and then by the afternoon, we're going to get to 96 degrees in places like Millsboro, where the guys are golfing right now, and the guys called me just before the newscast. Yeah, guys, it's going to be really muggy tomorrow if you're going to be golfing. Then look at Tuesday by 6:30. We have a very significant line of thunderstorm that's just going to pop in thanks to afternoon heating. Now, one thing you got to keep in mind, it's going to feel like 104 degrees in some areas. Even with that being the case, our muggy meter is going to stay elevated for the next few days, miserable, really for the next few days in a row. And then we keep a close eye on what's going to be plowing through for Tuesday going into Wednesday. And for the next few days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays, when we're going to have a significant amount of rain that'll push through. With this line, it's going to push through on Wednesday, going into Thursday. So we want to be mindful and watchful for that. Finally, here's a look at your 7-day forecast. It's muggy for tomorrow, then rainy Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Well, you can see it.
I think I do see it, Paul. Drivers should expect delays today as the Maryland State Highway Administration begins preparing or repairing 2 bridges in Salisbury. Work is going to impact parts of US 50 and Main Street over the Wycomico River. You can see that area on your screen right now. MDOT says all work is set to begin at 7 a.m. weather permitting. The agency says all construction is expected to be done by May of 2026.
Staying in Salisbury, parts of Glen Avenue will be closed this month as the Department of Waterworks makes improvements to the Glen Avenue lift station. Construction began today, and the city says it will last until Friday, July 18th. The road is open to local traffic only during this time.
Coming up tonight on DSN, your game of the night at 6:15, it's Maryland Supreme Basketball League boys with live basketball, and then at 10:30 you can catch that final score. On DSN Plus, games kick off at 5:30 with high school boys soccer at Crown Sports Center. Then at 6 p.m. it's high school boys lacrosse at DE Turf, and at 6:15 Maryland boys basketball at that Maryland Supreme Basketball League. Coming up, a vaccine lawsuit, why major medical associations are suing the leaders of the U.S. health agencies. Stay tuned on CoastTV News at 5. The trash is piling up in Philadelphia as thousands of union workers remain on strike. It's now day 7 of the labor dispute, which has thousands of city sanitation workers on the picket line. But it's not just sanitation workers, it's also 911 call centers and the water department. One of the biggest sticking points is the current negotiations pay unions looking for a 20% increase over the next 5 years.
In health news, major medical associations are suing the leaders of U.S. health agencies. The legal challenge is over changes to COVID-19 vaccine guidance and for allegedly undermining overall vaccine confidence. The groups represent hundreds of thousands of doctors, medical professionals, and scientists. They're suing Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., along with others. In May, Kennedy took a highly unusual step. He announced the COVID-19 vaccine would no longer be recommended for pregnant people and healthy children on the CDC's immunization schedule. Now here's a live look outside into Laurel. We'll have one more check on the forecast after this.
Taking a look at our dry tech camera in Ocean City, 77 degrees right now. We're going to stay in the 70s with cloudy skies, but no additional rain is expected. That's carrying on out of the way. We still have an active flood watch for inland areas of Sussex, but overall still staying relatively quiet with just one last batch of rain pushing out of the way. Our big focus now is going to be the heat advisory that will go into effect really for the entire Dove Marble Peninsula for tomorrow, watching out for a heat index of 105 in some areas. Our umbrella giveaway winner, Norma Brent of Rehoboth. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration Home Remodeling. Keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line, sponsored by the law offices of Bruckstedt, Mandalis, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. 95 and really muggy for tomorrow, and then a bit muggy and a chance of rain developing late Tuesday going to Wednesday. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, yeah, keep that umbrella handy. You might want to win another one from us, so be sure you sign up.
All right, thanks again, Paul, and thanks for joining us for Coast TV News at 5.
For more news, more local weather, download our Coast TV News app.
Inside Edition is next.
And we'll see you later tonight for Coast TV News at 6. Have a great evening.